just getting ready to finish work. I meant to start these videos when I started this, but I completely forgot and just remembered. So I'm starting halfway through. Basically, I wanted to work through the whole well, give you a bit of a behind the scenes look at the creative process behind one of my mixes. This is a drum and bass mix, and at the moment I've got 20 minutes of the set together really rough, and decided that what I would do is show you some of the process as I work through, getting the next I don't even know how long, next section of the mix together. Do you know what I mean? And seeing how it goes from there, really. Do you know what I mean? So far I've got 20 minutes of my new set together, of which I did in two sessions. First session, which was generally just is this idea any good session. I managed to get 15 minutes of my final set together. Second session, which probably took a couple of hours, I managed to get an extra 5 minutes on top of that. Now, with this particular first mix, there is definitely something I need to be doing. I suppose I could start from there, couldn't I? So I know there's see, that's all fine. I know that, see, that's actually on the drop, isn't it? For 1, 2, 3. It's actually that one. It's that one. So I'm using colour-coded markers to remind me to do certain things at certain times. We don't want to use that one. So as you can see, forgot what colour I use for this. Right, well, it may as well be that. Right, so I've got all those markers in place now. They're not actually, they're to remind me that there's something I need to do when I'm trying to do like my final output recordings. To get me, it's reminding me that there's something I need to do there, but they look a bit like this. So as I say, I've got 20 minutes music together, and we're gonna try and continue it. So my last track, which is Tonight by Danny Bird, has a key of B flat major, right? I personally know there isn't going to, so we're down here, this is B flat major. Now personally, I mean, there are going to be G minors, we could go G minors, but I might find it difficult, or I might just try and skip over to F or D minor. D minor and G minor is quite good. So what I'm going to try and do is, let's go G minor anyway. We'll start from somewhere, because that's what I'm saying. The whole thing's trial and error. So I'm going to get a bunch of G minor tracks together to try. So basically, just looking for G minor tracks, I accidentally selected this one and thought, well, I like this track, Racing Green, High Contrast Remix. And I thought, well, I want to try that against Tonight. I know it's quite vocal towards the end of this one. So, I just wanted to see how this one's going to go. So I've kind of queued it up the way where I want to mix it from, and I just want to give it a try, see? So. You may or may not be able to hear it, but I've got it on in the headphones. And you know what? I think I'm going to go with that. I think I'm going to go with that, man. Yeah, quick win. So there may be other G minor tracks I might use after this, but because the track I'm mixing out of and the track I'm mixing into is kind of, it's light. It retains the happiness and all that sort of stuff. It retains the vibe. It's quite, it's quite uplifting. I'm definitely going to run with this one first, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Because, like I say, I might change it up after this one, or I might do something else, and there might be other G minor tracks that I can use, or or I might even change the key. I don't know. We'll when we get to that, and we'll get to that. So what I generally do is I'll open this up, and I'll I'll take the source file. Oh, once my bass stops playing up even, right? I then have a folder, a working folder that I work in. So at the moment, this is February 25, DNB2. I always keep a copy of the short one so that when, you know, if I do things with grids, volumes, all that sort of stuff, I've always got a copy of the original one while I'm working on it. I'll paste it into volume, and what I'm going to do is just make sure it's definitely around the volume range that I'm currently doing. It's 100.9 decibels. I definitely think this track is going to be, but it's always good just to make sure. As you can see from that, it is actually, well, you probably can't see, but it's actually just a little bit quieter. So I'm going to level it out, and then what we're going to do is re-import that back into Rekordbox. I did mention that I was using Rekordbox, but what I can do is in my final, in my what is my working folder, but not the folder I'm sticking on my USB. So I can take that and put that into my my final working folder. Do you know what I mean? And import that in. So I've set my cue points. I've set my mixing marker. I've checked the mix in the headphones, just the rough one. Do you know what I mean? Without doing any EQing and stuff. And I'm happy with that selection. What I'm going to do now is see if I can find a few more. I mean, to be honest, what I'd like to do is finish the whole hour set in this particular session. It's unlikely to happen, but you know what I'll try and do is go as far as push it as far as I can, go as far as I can without going too far, because you can overthink things and overdo things, and before you know it's all a mess and then having to redo it all again. But push it enough, just get it to a point where I'm like, you know what, I'm happy with that, and then we'll actually get down to doing the rough mix and adding it to my existing project to see, you know, to check it later. So after about an hour and 40 minutes, I've picked 5 extra tracks around the F major, D minor and G minor range that I'm going to mix. I've hit a point where I'm like, not sure what I'm doing next, need to take a break. So what I'm going to do now is record it rough. So as I say, look, I'm all set up now, to get what I mean, but I'm set up, do a rough recording and get it into the project. Right, so I've got the rough recording of the section I was working on. So when I do these rough recordings, I don't mess with volumes. I do some basic EQing. The idea is to, you know, when I let the tracks play, do you know what I mean? All the mixes, so I can hear the bits I like, the bits I don't like. Do you know what I mean? I'll only ever do some basic effect if I know that's part of the plan. But what I'm going to do now is pop this into my project and export it out as an MP3 to listen to later. So the new section's now in the project. Last time we reached 22 minutes roughly. So let's see how much of the mix. So say if it was an hour mix, how far have we got now? Whereabouts are we now roughly? So roughly we're at 32 minutes, so we're halfway through the mix. Do you know what I mean? Knowing that obviously will affect my choices of what I choose to play and what I choose to do. But that's the whole project and it's ready to export. Let me just save that before I forget. As you can see, that was the first section, that's the second section, and that's the new section. As I say, with some very basic EQing, volume's always on max, do you know what I mean, and letting everything play. So I'm going to export that as an MP3 file and upload it to my cloud so I can listen to it later on my phone. Right, so actually I've only spent 2 hours, do you know what I mean, working on that. I've got an extra 10 minutes on my mix. I don't know whether it's going to stay like that, whether it's right, whether it's wrong. But 2 hours is quite good for 10 minutes for me sometimes. What I am going to do, because I probably won't listen to it tonight, but what I do need to do now is listen to it with fresh ears and in the context of the mix, of how the mix is to start, how the mix goes, see whether the new bit works, you know, and then you know, go from there really, and we'll see what happens. Right, so I've listened to the full set twice now. Well, the full set so far twice now. First time I listened through to it, I wasn't sure about the new section. But second time, I'm a lot more pleased with it. I made a few notes as I went through it the second time. Most of them are cosmetic things I need to do. So, I need to add markers and stuff like that just to remind me of some cosmetic stuff. But there is one particular part of the new section where I don't think the mix is quite right. Right, so I've added my cosmetic feature markers, and it's time to work on that mix I was on about. So it is actually, for those that can't see at the moment, it's actually these two sub-focus tracks. And if I go across here, up to the keys, I can see it's F minor and G minor, right? Now there isn't actually anything wrong with the mix, do you know what I mean, at all? But in a different context, I think it'd be perfectly fine. But for what I'm trying to do, I don't think it's right. So as you can see, it's F to G minors there. So we could technically do a B flat major, or look for a track at a B flat major to try and merge the styles of these two tracks together. It's just the styles that are slightly different, and I just want to ease that. So it might be that I find one track, it could be that I pick 4 tracks. I mean, I don't know how it's going to go, but the idea is I'm going to insert something between there. Do you know what I mean? The mix itself, do you know what I mean, it is fine. The tracks after that, the mixes out, the tracks after that, I actually personally like. And there is actually a bit earlier in the set where I kind of go back to a different style of drum and bass, which I'm not going to touch at the moment. I think it might work in my favour, depending on how this goes and the context of this goes. It might actually work in my favour like that. It may be a fact that I don't even do a BBM. I don't find a BBM track, as a guide. I could end up over here, on the complete opposite side. So it could be one of these that works, do you know what I mean, and completely change it up that way. But what I'm going to do is a bit of a time lapse of the whole process of me finding and inserting the track into this particular bit. Right, so spent about 2 hours, do you know what I mean? And a load of money, right? To find two extra tracks in the end. I mean, there were lots of decent ideas, lots of different and decent ideas, some of which I couldn't do now, but you know, there were some good ideas as you see. But two tracks, you know, 2 hours, you know, a bunch of money, two tracks. We're going to add them. I'm going to obviously record that bit, add it to my rough mix output project, and you know, same process. Do you know what I mean? Check it, see what we think. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I haven't done too much, I haven't done too little, and it'll do the job. But you know, I don't know at the moment, so you know, it's all trial and error. Right, so I know for definite there's one very tight. I mean, I did it, but there's one very tight mix in that tight mix where I've got a, you know, where I'm switching where I've got to get a track in when another one finishes quite close to where I want to drop the next track. I did do it. I might leave it as it is because you know, challenge is all good, but you know, it's recording. It's about to finish now. I'm going to get in the project. So I'm back into Reason again, from a rough project. Just need to open that up. Oh, I might as well do a record. Well, I won't record it. I'll do it like this. Do you know what I mean? Because, like I say, at the same time, I'm trying to document it. So that's what we originally did. What I did with this one is I just recorded the whole end section again, including the bit that I've got in there. Do you know what I mean? So I want to drop that in the project. Do you know what I mean? But this will be a nice, hopefully quick replace. Right, so after you know, I've exported it, I had a quick listen. I didn't listen to the whole thing because you know, that's not the point. I just want to listen to some of the bits as I'm mixing, because generally when I'm doing the recordings, they're a lot louder in my ears than they are when they actually are played out. So if generally they work as I'm recording them and I don't identify anything major to start off with, generally it's a good sign. But when I was playing it back, it seemed like the part I've just inserted that actually there might be a bit of an issue with the transition with the two tracks, and generally it's the same sort of issue that I had that I was trying to correct, and I've ended up creating it again. But at the same time, it's an extra 5 minutes, which means I've only got 25 more minutes left to go. If I do have to add tracks after I've had a listen to it and everything, do you know what I mean? Then, you know, that's going to shrink the amount of time that I've got left to, you know, left to produce a set. And really, you know, I've got to start thinking now, because we're past the halfway point. I've got to start thinking about my big finish. So I had to listen. Overly really pleased actually, right? But it turns out that what I kind of identified, it wasn't what I originally thought it was, but it is an issue. So the style of the track I'm going into from that one is actually fine. I like the fact that it goes into a liquid type track. The only issue is, as far as I'm concerned in the mix, is that's a very vocal track and that doesn't really have any vocals. And I think that kind of breaks the consistency, because from around here, it actually seems like I've settled into the mix and I am properly mixing by around this point. So it just kind of breaks the consistency, even though, like I say, the mix itself is actually really good. The style's good, everything's good. It's just that that's vocal, that's not very vocal, so just creates a bit of a break. I have noticed earlier on that there are a couple transitions that feel a bit what I call stop and start. There's nothing wrong with the mix again, do you get me? It's just that, you know, for a millisecond it just feels like everything stopped and everything started again, do you know what I mean? And I might go back and address that later, but like I say, you know, due to consistency, by the time I get later on, actually, you know, a lot of those issues have been corrected through the track choices. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to work on the new section, well, adding something to the new section we added last time, but I'm going to look for another like liquid track, but this time with a bit of vocals, just to bridge that gap. Right, so after a bit of playing, I found a track I like the transition. Went with Remember Me by High Contrast, to be honest. I still have the same issue with this particular drop, where the last track actually finishes right before I want to drop the next one. But and this mix is a bit, it's interesting, there's some vocal overlap and stuff that I'm going to have to do things with. But I think the progression, because like I say, where we are in the context of the mix, this keeps the drive going. Do you get what I mean? So, you know, this is what I'm going to go for. And you know, thankfully it's another G minor track, so you know it's within the thing. And I think this should sort out the transition. Like I said, you know, vocal to a slightly more vocal but more liquidy track. Do you know what I mean? And then you know, and then into the track that is actually less vocal. I mean, also another good thing about the High Contrast track is it actually does tick another one of my boxes. Every time I try to do a drum and bass mix, I do try to give a bit of a nod to the hip hop. Do you know what I mean? Because you know that's where my roots are. Do you know what I mean? You know, is hip hop and stuff like that. So, you know, and Remember Me by High Contrast actually does tick that box. It's got a breakdown. It's a hip hop style beat. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, so far so good. What I'm gonna do now is record this, get into the rough project. You know what I'm saying?
Let's take it back. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to the old school rap. Let's take it back. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to the old school rap.
Right, so I had to listen. I didn't listen to the full thing. I played it from halfway through. And to be honest, I've forgotten what the mix was like. Do you know what I mean? So, and you know, I was really surprised, actually. I was really surprised with the way the mix goes. I did identify something with the actual drop that I'm hoping I can correct with some volume adjustments, with some fader adjustments, but I'm going to add it to my list of things that I need to sort out, or things I need to check and be certain on before I start doing my output recording. I don't plan on doing any work on it over the next few days. Well, I don't foresee that I'll be doing any work on it over the next few days. But I will be listening to the full thing. So what I have been doing is working a little bit more working on this making of video. And I won't be covering that now, just because when I've got the final mix together and I'm ready, I'm ready to share it, I'll be covering it then. Right. Well, I wasn't going to, but I've kind of been listening to the mix as it stands at the moment. I've kind of worked out the way current things are. I've got 20 minutes to do at the moment. That works out at about 8 tracks. I've kind of come up with a bit of an idea of what I might do from a big finish, and that may involve doing a DJ edit, one of my own DJ edits. But I generally only do the DJ edits when I need to, when tracks don't quite work the way I like the track, I like where it is in the mix, but it doesn't quite work the way I want it to. So I'll do edits, even though I probably won't list it in the playlist that I've made changes, because I want to give the original artists, I want to give them their big ups. But as I say, I've kind of identified a few things with the mix, because what I'm doing when I'm listening back to the mix, the rough version, is I'm kind of like I'm just memorizing. I'm trying to memorize. I'm memorizing the sound, what tracks are playing. I'm also, looking at it a bit like a computer game. I'm like trying to come up and think of patterns and things. A bit like a computer game that that I'll be performing while I do it live, when I do it live. So, and I've kind of identified that I've probably got my work cut out with me to start off with. But technically, how it's going, it seems the flow seems quite good. There is a stop and start, but it seems to settle. It settles. And and I'm currently ending on a big track. It changes into a slight different style from the Liquid, slightly more upbeat. I like the sound, so I want to try and continue with that. So that's the plan. So the track I'm finishing on currently is a D minor, right? So to make my life easier, because I probably have got a bunch of things in the collection, is I'm going to go straight to the A minor key and look for some, upbeat, uplifting tracks. Hopefully in my collection I'll have lots of A minors. If not, I'll have to go use Beatport, and pick some down. I might even jump on there just to see if there are any bangers I can find anyway in that'll just make my life easier. But first place I'll check is the collection, and if not, I'll purchase some new ones. Right, so 2.5 hours later, I picked 5 tracks. Actually, when I was having a quick listen to it, it seems like it worked a lot better than when I was recording it, but that remains to be seen. I picked 5 tracks. It's an extra 10 minutes. I've got 10 minutes to go in the set. If it works, I've succeeded in bending the tracks to where I want them to be, even though I was hoping I'd have a lot less than 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? 10 minutes is about 3 tracks, really. Do you know what I mean? So I am trying something new. I did, around the A minor key, there's lots of rollers. I kind of went back to the Liquid stuff a little bit, touched back, and then tried to bend it to where I want to be. A lot more energy towards the end. Like I say, we just have to see how it goes. It's sounding all right when I was in the rough recording when I was putting it into the project, but yeah, only time will tell whether I pushed it too far. So let's see, eh? So I've been listening to the mix, and it kind of gave me a bit of an idea, for a working title for this mix. So I think I'm going to call it "Take 'Em to Church." It's still part of the drum and bass reference mix series, do you know what I mean? Which I planned 3. The one I already released, a Liquid one, which is going to be this one, and another one. But the whole point is that these were drum and bass sets, hour-long drum and bass sets that I could perform live with an MC. The MC in question is Trademark Blood, so he gets all these a lot earlier than everybody else does. I've also been thinking about I'm trying to, because I do a lot of live streams, do you know what I mean? Or I used to do a lot of live streams, and I wanted to try and incorporate these sorts of sets into those live streams as well. So, you know, I live stream on Industry Radio, and I'm thinking about, you know, hitting up Mr. B and seeing whether I could get a time slot where I can perform this mix live. I also think I'm missing a bit of a trick with this transition. I picked a nice simple one. It was nice and clean, and allowed me to continue. But I think I'm definitely missing a trick with this one. I also think I'm going to do something with my current last track as well. Do you know what I mean? I think I can get an extra. I think I can just get something here and just sort this out just a little bit better as well. So I made a bit of an edit to one of the tracks, as you've seen. Basically, I tend not to do edits that I couldn't do live, but that basically the general edit was just a loop. You know, I would have set up a loop queue, do you know what I mean, triggered it and then released it. It's just with so much going on in the mix. You know, that removes the human element out of that.
Sometimes I can get so down. Sometimes I feel trouble. You take me away. I love you. What you do to me? Take me Take me higher. Show me that the love is real. Take me higher. Join me if it's how you feel. Take me higher. Show me that the love is real. Take me higher. Join me if it's how you feel. Take me.
Okay, so I've picked a final track. I did a little edit to it. The full thing's coming in at 59 minutes. I'm going to sit on it now. If it's all good, I'm going to sit on it now until I'm ready to record the final output. Okay, I've been giving the mix a bit of a listen. I do want to try and do a full attempt over the next couple of days, especially while it's still fresh. First off, as I said, you know, I've got a few things I just want to check first before I try the final one. So what I'm going to do is, as it's a set I want to do live, I'm gonna set up the equipment that I'm going to use for that, because I can't use the FLX10. Well, I could, but I don't use the FLX10. I use an RX3 when I'm playing out. Right, I had a bit of a play, a bit of an experiment, and you know what? I think I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a bit of a run through. So I'm gonna continue the rest of the setup, and then sort myself out. Right, so I'm all dressed up and ready. I mean, hopefully. I mean, I don't know the set that well, so I don't know how it's going to go. A lot of it is going to be freestyling. Do you know what I mean? But you know, as long as I don't make any major uh, issues, you know what I mean. What you might get to listen to is actually my first attempt. Right, so that actually took me 2 takes. Well, I say it took me 2 takes. It still ain't right in the second take, to be honest. But you know, yeah, I've done 2 takes. Do you know what I mean? Things are uploading. I've copied audio files onto my USB, rearranged everything so that, you know, I've got space again, and packed things away in places where I'm going to find them again. You know, going to listen to it, see how it goes. Do you know what I mean? I've decided that the last take I did, take number 2, that's the one I'm going to share with everybody. It's not perfect. It's very much fresh, but you know, generally I think the idea is right, the energy is right, and I think it's just good enough to share with everyone. So what I'm going to do now is master the audio. Now the track's been mastered, it's time to get the YouTube video together. So the video and audio are now ready to upload. Like I say, generally that's the end of it. Really, it's ready to upload. I'll upload it. I'm using the same artwork as before, so I don't need to do any of that. I've got my little promo videos all set up. So generally, it's upload it, release it, and then share it with everybody and see what happens. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, the process. You know, it's different depending on what I'm doing. Like this is this process. You know, if I was doing like a hip hop set or a hip hop show, do you know what I mean? I might be buying things on Discogs, getting imports coming in, you know, for instrumentals and acapellas and stuff that you just can't get. Do you know what I mean? There's an MP3 and stuff, so sometimes I have to buy physical material, you know. And sometimes, you know, like I say, it depends on what I'm doing. You know, the process is different every time. You know, if I was making a track, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a process behind that. It's a process behind, you know, there's a process behind all of them. So, I mean, hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea of the amount of work that actually goes into, you know, these sorts of things. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I'm still very much a beginner, and I'm still learning the process, and, you know, and every single time, you know, I'm passionate about, you know, I want to hear the output. I want to hear how it all turns out. I like to see how it goes, you know. So, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I keep doing it, is because, you know what, I like it. I really enjoy it. So, you know what I mean? So, there you go. That's the making of Take 'Em to Church drum and bass mix reference 2, or something like that. Anyways, do you know what I mean? Big ups.